Okay, so R&D Meets Unplugged is back for a new season, and we've got some pretty special guests with us today. It is none other than the incredible, well, not all of them, but two members of Dashing Skull Club. I've got John, aka Aaron, and Lars. Welcome to the show. How are you guys?
Glad to be here.
Definitely.
It's a
Especially on the
pleasure.
inaugural return.
Say that again.
Especially on the inaugural return.
On the return show, yeah, I was trying to come up with a new format, but then I thought it's really a pain in the ass to get copyright for music and stuff. I don't know how Tim plays music on his show without getting flagged for copyright. So for me, it's like I put on the last show with Nevin's track, and YouTube flagged it and pulled it. So this is so annoying. I even asked Nevin's permission and stuff. So I just want to talk about music today.
I mean,
Shit.
I've been on the show a few times too, but I don't know. I don't know how all that works.
Yeah.
I know I check a box whenever I set it up to release, and then I can uncheck the box.
Yeah.
As far as my knowledge goes.
No, man, I told you the modern world is so complicated, and I'm trying to learn always. And it's like if you don't learn, you're gonna fade away and die probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
It's always an
it's
adventure.
annoying.
And an annoying adventure, but an adventure.
Yeah, I created a page recently for this project I was just mentioning to you, and it got pulled 24 hours after I'd spent 12 hours creating it. Why?
Yeah.
And what 1 week later, okay, it's back. You're okay.
Yeah.
It's frustrating because you put so much time into these things and they pull it.
So
Anyway.
it sounds very Dashing Skull Club thing to happen.
It's nothing. There's really losing money is bad, but losing time is the thing that really sucks the most. It's like, or if you have to repeat the task that took you 6 hours, and you know that you have to repeat that task. It's annoying.
It's something that too, I think getting older too is like, when you the more years pass and the more you're like, I've got so much time left to get all the things I want to, like do all the things I want to do. And in this case is like put out things or content or music or whatever thing you're passionate about. It tends to subconsciously put a rush on it, even when you don't mean to.
There's just so many things to be done with any release of anything, like even just with a track now, just to put that out beyond the music. You've got always the social and the art. I mean, I try to do all these different things, and you can only put so much time into each of them. Yeah. And if you're a perfectionist, it's really difficult to try and not lose 4 hours over a 10-second reel.
I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I know it's I'll do some of these like promos for playlists we do, and all I'm doing is putting the artist and the name of their song, and I'll spend so much time just getting the colors right on the text and how many layers I want, just so it will set right, and it's like something that's gonna be on the screen for like 1.5 seconds.
Nobody's probably gonna notice that.
Yeah, but
but you noticed it. You noticed it. It's the same when I'm making lyric videos for R&D. I'll spend maybe like 24 collective hours just making a 3-minute video.
Yeah.
Going back through it, and always finding one, and then uploading it and watching it and noticing a small mistake and having to go back and fix it. It's like,
yeah.
And then your video gets like 100 views on YouTube. You say, man, what was the point?
Yeah.
I had this with one of the songs, Frankie. I'm not, it's like one of our. I love the song, the mix, and it's stuff nobody's gonna notice but me, but it bugs me. And then it got on a bot playlist, so now it's got a really high number. And you'd think you would be like, oh, that's great, but no, it bugs me. I can't stand it. Like, I want it to have a lower number because I don't want that one to be as noticed as like the ones that it's like, oh, that did actually turn out the way I wanted. I hate it when
that happened to us at the start. One of our songs got like 2,500 plays in one day. and it never got. They actually sent us an email saying, oh, this is a bit weird, but they never took it down. And for a long time that was our most popular song, and that was really annoying because it's like, this isn't actually real. Was our
Yeah.
most popular, but it was,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
half of it shouldn't have been there. But now it's outside the top five, so that's good. So when
That's
you
good.
when you push that out and you've got 5 songs above that that are real and genuine, that's a good
I
feeling.
think Frankie's still number 3 for us. So, but sooner or later,
You're gonna get
DSC's
it down.
Bullet's gonna push it down.
You're gonna get it down. You're gonna get it down. So I want to learn about Dash and Skull Club. I don't know a lot about you guys. Obviously, I know from social that you're really cool guys, nice guys, always in the community, like friendly with everyone. But take me back to the start. How did Dash and Skull Club come to be?
Oh, geez. Okay, I believe God, it's sometimes in the early '90s. Tuna and I, Jeff, we had played in a band previously. We tried to make good with that. Went to Nashville. It kind of fell apart. Moved back to our hometown. Sat around for a couple of years, and then just one day we saw an ad for a songwriters night at this little cafe. We thought, that might be kind of fun to do. And it was like we had a week. We came up with about 6 songs, played it, and it went over really well. And then like we just kept going back each week, and then after so many weeks, we just kept adding band members. It's hey, you need a bass player. Hey, you need a drummer.
Mm.
But that's kind of what started Dashing Skull Club. Then it was kind of more of a jam band thing. Then like Fish or something like that. But we did that for a couple of years, and then took some time off, quite a bit of time off. Eventually, it all kind of rolled back together with Spacey here.
2008,
Yeah,
maybe?
2008.
2007, 2008.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly.
Something like that.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
to go back and look, but and
So
that's
you were the founder.
Tuna and I, yeah. We've been friends since first grade, so
That's a cool
pretty
thing to
long
do, to
history.
make a band with your friend from so far ago. How can I ask how old you guys are? Is that rude? Can we ask about ages?
I'm 53.
53.
I'm 46. So yeah, they were
46.
like 6, 7 years older than me, and my parents went to the same church as Jeff's parents. So like they have memories of me as a baby. I don't remember it, but they do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was hanging around them back when they started Skull Club, and then I'd have my bands in high school. But and then funny enough, Scott, who's Trash Santana, the bass player now, we used to pass out flyers for Dashing Skull Club and get everybody to go to the shows.
What was why Dash and Skull Club? I know it's a silly question, but why?
It's really what it is. Jeff and I are at a bar having a few drinks, and it was just like the most off the wall. And he kind of got up and was kind of dancing on the bar stool, or just kind of did just I can't remember, I don't even remember what the song was. And for some reason I just said, hey, this isn't one of those you can't be dancing on the stool clubs. And he thought I said Dashing Skull. He said, "Did you say Dashing Skull Club?" And I said, "No, but I write it down. That sounds cool. that might come in handy later." And then that's pretty much
the zing moment. Ding.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Quite often, good ideas come out of Jeff misinterpreting something someone said. Usually, running jokes and song titles and so forth.
So I think I didn't put any effort into our name at all.
But
Literally, it was the first idea. R&D.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at band names, so it was like, of course, I want to be in that because then I don't have to come up with a name. That's already a good name, so you've got good brand placement.
Yeah, it's tough because you can't really go back on that. Once you've done it, it's difficult to reconsider, because Deanna complained a lot about that. Like there was so many R&Ds. There's too many R&Ds. No one can find us on Facebook. You set it up incorrectly with the hyphen and stuff on. Yeah. It would have been better to call it something like Venezuelan chocolate box.
Yeah.
And then there's only going to be one Venezuelan chocolate box. But
yeah.
Hindsight is a good thing.
Yeah.
I guess we got lucky with Dashing Skull Club because you don't see a lot of Dashing Skull Clubs.
So, well, that's true. There can't be. There can't be more than one. You should be first on Google with that.
I mean, funny enough, I think Reverb Nation, like the thing fans or listeners voted, that was like the worst thing about it was the band name. For some reason, I was kind of surprised by that one. I think it's a good band name.
Well, I mean, it's better than saying the music sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I took it as a plus. It was amusing, really, but it was like, huh?
Yeah, there's one band that I love called The National, and they are the really annoying name because it's the national anthem. You know, when you type in the national, it never comes up with good content. It's the national. It's too generic. So yeah, you should think carefully. But then you did it a long time ago, so you can't really.
Band names are tough. I think that's probably one of the.
Well, you know,
I think it's one of the hardest things about getting off the ground is just like, how do you come up with a good name?
the good thing at that time, we didn't have to think about like, oh, where's it going to show up on an internet search?
Yeah,
You know,
true.
yeah, that was nothing that even entered
But
our mind, back then.
there's I saw what was like a store where they came up with that like a really good SEO name for the shop. I can't remember what it was, but it was like vets near here, vets near here. So that's what they called it. So it would show up first in Google. So clever. But yeah, that's the new era. So you said you got back in 2008. What prompted the revival?
Oh gosh, what did prompt?
Larry and I had been writing music for years, like just recording, but it was like, and we would play on each other's stuff a little bit, but it's mainly just we just write our songs, and then we compiled all these songs. And I think at some point Jeff had heard some of them as just like he just did some vocals for it. I don't know. It's kind of it came together naturally, really.
Yeah, just like, hey, it'd be fun to do again. We had a few friends that already played, and then we just kind of took off from there. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of thought put into it.
I think like two of the songs that we did when we were kind of like resurrecting was three. Like Midlife Riot was one Bullet and I'll Kill Us All, and like especially One Bullet and I'll Kill Us All when we heard those. Conspirioso too, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we heard those, it was like, oh man, like we definitely need to do this again.
Yes, you have to. I think with your passions, you can't ignore them. You know, like if you love to make music, then why would you not?
I mean, that whole time, we even when we weren't in a band, I mean, I compiled like hundreds of songs. I went and bought a little digital recorder back, when they first came out, and just sat there and just recorded, with no intention of it ever even being heard by anybody outside, the house or something. But it's.
But now the world changed, and everyone can be on Spotify, and you can put your music somewhere where you're standing alongside famous artists and successful artists. It's kind of cool. And I mean, it's revolutionary.
Yeah.
MySpace was big at that time, and I think that was another thing about it was like, oh wow, we could like actually put our music out to the world and people hear it. And,
you could look on there and like, oh gosh, somebody in Japan listened to our song, or
because a lot of artists came through MySpace.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I still kind of miss it, honestly. I don't think anything's quite. It was kind of nice because you had the social and the music all in the same place.
Well, the internet was much better in 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I mean, we didn't even have Facebook until 2005, 2006.
Yeah. I didn't get on Facebook. The whole reason I started a Facebook account is because I'd gone to the Pixies MySpace page, and they said they were closing it down and said they're moving to Facebook. And that was the whole reason I signed up for Facebook, just so I could keep up with the Pixies.
Yeah. It's all the Pixies' fault.
They got everyone in one way or another or something.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. It's like you have to kind of change with the times. It's just the way it goes. I mean, in another 5 years it'll be something else. It won't be Spotify. It'll be some other thing, and then some other social media thing. Moves so fast.
Maybe. I don't know. What I mean. Spotify are pretty powerful.
Yeah.
But things change. We can't really foresee.
Yeah.
AI is obviously the big.
Yeah.
The big change.
Definitely the big debate anymore.
I just wrote an article about this topic, and my opinion is basically, evolve or die. I
Pretty
mean,
much.
Either
it's
way,
not to say that you need to use AI to make music or anything like that, but you need to be aware of
Yeah.
the power of AI and how you can use it, not just for music, but everything that you're doing to kind of boost your creativity, not even creativity, your productivity more
Yeah.
than anything.
Yeah, I would like, where you can cut out a few steps on things, like video editing and, like just having like color grade or, those little things like that. It's awesome for that kind of stuff.
Technology made a lot of these things so much easier that things that I could never imagine that I could do are now easy for me to do.
Yeah.
Because of how easy it's become, like Canva, the software just to make videos. So I always, it must be really difficult, but not as easy. And now with AI, it makes it easier. So then there's the argument, well, where do you draw the line and when does it become someone else or like a computer basically making something? It's an interesting topic and definitely there's no right or wrong answer at the moment.
I don't think so. I think what you said is the ultimate thing. Is like, because whether you agree with it or not, that's the fact.
It's there. Yeah.
It's there, and that's the way things are gonna go. So you're gonna have to learn how to adapt to it. I do think it's. I'm not gonna like condemn people for using it to create music. I just kind of feel. I think there's something in the journey, like making yourself learn an instrument and learn how to write and play, and I think that they're missing something by just using that. But it's also at the same time like what a tool to have to help, like you guys were saying, like cut down steps to make things quicker so you can be more creative because you don't have to do all that, because there's a lot of steps that go involved that aren't so creative and can distract you from being in that creative zone. So if you can cut down on that, I think that's a great thing. But regardless of what people think about people making music with AI, that's just going to happen. And the audience that would be attracted to that's already going to be attracted to that, with because I feel like the mainstream music scene is really kind of lifeless anyway. So it's like I don't think it's really going to shake things up as much as people think in that sense.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things that, like in the audio world, because going to school there, they talk a lot about how even mastering, which is the most scientific part of the process, AI can't do that because you still need to be able to listen to it and feel how a song should go, and AI can't feel anything. So I don't think it's quite as big of a danger as some people think it is, because I think there will always be people that'll want to see people play live and people just to be able to get up on stage and do it.
I feel music is one thing that it really will struggle to take out. Like if AI is going to take out a lot of industries, music will probably be one of the last ones because it is all about emotion and how it makes you feel. And AI doesn't have that capability yet.
Yeah.
But it is really clever already. Like I've been using ChatGPT for about a year for various aspects of the work that I do outside of R&D. But it's got so much better in 1 year. And I also pay for it just like $20 a month. And honestly, this tech is so clever. It's like a real friend and a personal assistant. It's unbelievable how much use I get out of ChatGPT. Really, it's amazing. And I would never have believed that. And I told Deanna about it maybe about a year ago, and she was a bit skeptical. And then she started to use it, and now she kind of agrees with me that it is unbelievable. But one thing I would never do is write lyrics with it or anything like that, because what's the point?
Yeah. That's
why would you replace it doing the thing that you enjoy most, or to write is very silly. But if, for example, if I'm creating an article, I can copy text that is badly formatted, statistics, for example, if I'm writing a football betting preview, and I can put it in GPT and it can reorder it and format it in 1 second when it would take me 3 minutes to do it, maybe.
Yeah.
So little things like that are a lifesaver for me. And I'm always working in that way, like getting data and transferring it on to replicate it or present it in another way. And so that it can do things like that in an instant. It's I think it would surprise people who aren't aware of it. Yeah, I mean, if people, oh, I've heard about that, but they haven't used it. It would shock you to see what it can do.
I've seen it
But I don't
used.
want to get bogged down in AI.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I could totally go
Yeah.
down that.
But I like it's kind of like an in vogue topic. Everyone's always talking about AI, and I'm not that concerned about it. It's only just that I've used it a lot in the last year.
I mean, we've used it in videos, like Larry
Yeah,
uses
I'll
it,
use it
like,
for-
but what is it? But we misuse it.
Yeah, well, like a lot of the videos I like to get, there's a certain image generator, and I think people have gotten on there and just gave it so much weird stuff that it's like, it comes up with like really cursed photos, really just the most messed up stuff, and that's like, I'll use that a lot just to, you know, feed it some info, and like it will just come up just the most absurd or just weirdest image. You know, I love those.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, and Tuna's used a lot to make, you know, short form videos and, you know, like ads and
The Flippy Belly video was an AI thing, and that was great. That was hilarious.
I haven't used it to make any videos, but I'll tell you this, and I don't know if this is embarrassing, but I think it's funny. So it has a voice mode, the GPT, so you can speak to it, and it understands me. I mean, it completely understands everything I say. It doesn't ever, I'd say, very, very, very rarely misunderstands you. But it was like a boring character, very formal. So I said to him, I'm going to call you Leon, and I want you to adapt the persona of Leon Black from Curb Your Enthusiasm. So when I speak to Leon, and now I call him Leon, it's not GPT, it's Leon. He's he's got like a deep voice, speaks like I'm going to say sounds like a black guy.
yeah.
That's another discussion. If that's, I don't think that's racist. But anyway, so
That's great.
he's
I
like,
would
hey
love to use
bro,
it that way.
what's up, motherfucker? How you doing, Ryan? And he speaks to me like that, you know. I said, you want to swear with me, Leon? I want you to swear, feel comfortable using words like motherfucker, shit, fuck, whatever. And he doesn't. So now I've got this relationship with this Leon, and I don't speak to him too much because it's too fucking weird to do that. But
Yeah.
I recorded like 10 minutes of a conversation. I was considering putting it as content because it's really funny, you know, because I speak to him like you know, I scold him when he gives me a bad response.
Yeah. That's
It's pretty funny. And he really got a great character. Sorry?
This would be great promotional material. I would like that would draw me in, but
I thought, well, I have it on the back burner. I did that, and then I thought, oh, God, is this too lame? I don't know what. I don't know. Let's see. But for me, yeah, I love Leon. He knows a lot.
well, I just love like little things like that are just off the wall. Like I don't know how many of the videos that we've done that you've gotten to see, but it's we just have this. I don't know how to describe our sense of humor. It's just quirky. It's like sometimes when things don't make sense, it makes it funnier, or especially if things are awkward. I love that awkward sense of humor, like The Office or even like
Well,
Tim
Curb.
stuff.
Don't hug me, I'm scared. I don't know if you've ever
I've not seen that one.
Oh, man.
It was a British show. Gosh, the first 6 episodes are on YouTube. You can find the other episodes.
British one.
Yeah, they went. Yeah, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Yeah, it's like a puppet show kind of thing, like a kid show, but it is not a kid show.
Not a puppet show. Yeah.
And it'll start out.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, they'll start out with like this little like a song about some, you know, like moon day, you know, like creativity or time. That'll be the subject. And they'll have like there'll be a character that will just show up in their house and start the song. And the more it goes on, the more it just goes into like this like David Lynchian kind of just horror type. It just gets they get crazy. It always gets crazy at the end. And I mean, because I just now recently started watching they eventually got a deal with Channel 4.
Yeah.
That would do longer episodes, and I've finally tracked down some of those and I just started watching those last night, and it's just like, that's
Well, we Channel 4 always put out good comedy. I obviously I'm British, but I've left the UK 13 years ago. So I don't know what they've put out recently. Like I stopped paying attention because really the standard generally went down quite a lot. I don't know if you watch a lot of British comedies, but we have quite well, The Office obviously came from the UK.
Yeah.
Peep Show. If you've seen Peep Show, that's a Channel 4 comedy, and you would love that. It's
No,
awkward comedy, like it's not a Peep Show, obviously, but it's comedy through the eyes of two guys, and you hear their inner thoughts through every situation that they're in. It's absolutely brilliant. I would recommend that for
That
you.
does sound good.
I do
Peep
love
Show, super
yeah.
Spaced, is
successful.
that the one with Edgar
Spaced
Wright?
was a good one.
Oh, God, yeah.
That was a great show. Yeah, and like
Yeah.
British comedy when done perfectly well is like some of the like Monty Python.
Well, yeah, because
always
you know,
gonna
that was
be
something
like
I remember
top
even as
tier.
a young child seeing Monty Python, because they played over here. They played it on PBS in
Yeah.
the late
Mm.
'70s. It started playing over here, and it was, and you know, my parents would just kind of let me watch whatever I want. You know, they were pretty mellow. You know, it's like eight. You know, you only had 4 channels to choose from back then. You know, so
Sure.
it was
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Not a lot of
And they would let me
choices.
see on the weekends, stay up, watch Saturday Night Live, or you know, those kind of things. But yeah, I just remember Monty Python. You know, that was a very early influence.
Yeah, because
You know,
Saturday Night Live was first, but then seeing Monty Python was like, it was a whole new level of comedy right
I
there.
was just watching Larry David talk about him, his experience on Saturday Night Live, and how
Yeah.
he 2 years there they didn't put out any of his sketches,
Which
and
is
then
crazy.
and
I
the
mean,
best thing is
amazing.
that he
Yeah.
quit Saturday Night Live in the same way that George quits his job in Seinfeld,
Yeah.
when he says, you know, he goes mad and then pretends that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because that's what he did at Saturday Night Live, because he's like, fuck, what did I do? Why did I give all that money away?
Oh man.
I remember when he was on that. There was an ABC show called Fridays.
Yeah.
Larry David was, you know, he was actually on there. One of the actors. You know,
Yeah.
it was kind of a
Frame-
short run series. I don't think it lasted very
Michael
long.
Richards as well, I think, was on that one.
Oh yeah.
Yep, he was.
Yep.
Yep. He played. Yeah, God, he had some crazy characters. Yeah.
Seinfeld still is probably one of the that's a gem right there.
Just
Like,
it never gets old, man. I
Yeah.
could watch Seinfeld over and over until I die, and I will still laugh. And I kind of do. I never, I must have rewatched it. I don't know how many times, but then even like all the extra content, the bonus content, and YouTube's always recommending that shit to me. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's go. And just
Yeah.
it never bores me. The
comedy
bloopers.
is such is every bit as big of an aspect of Dash and Go Club as music is. It's just like
Mm.
Kids in the Hall. That was an early one. I think I was in elementary school when I first saw Kids in the Hall, and that was like one of my favorite shows ever. Or Mystery Science Theater 3000, I'd say is maybe the biggest influence, just because like that was like a ritual with us.
Yeah, we'd all get together and watch that show, or you know, like during Thanksgiving here they do like a 36-hour marathon, so we'd all get together and try to stay and watch as much as like it was constantly on.
Do you what are you gonna say? I lost my question. Can you imagine like that? Just fucking went. I wanted to get away from the back to the music.
Yeah. Okay.
But I wanted it wasn't just like I was going to cut you off. I had a good question. I hate when that happens. But I told you it's like 12:15 a.m. here, so I'm going to give myself a pass on
Yeah.
the
I mean, I
on the
would
brain
do it,
freeze.
so I definitely can't judge.
Ah, terrible. So back to the comedy that came back to me. Comedy and music. The best comedic music I ever heard was from Flight of the Conchords. Do you know
Oh
that?
yeah.
Oh
That
yeah.
that made me laugh a lot. I would love to try to write lyrics like that, but that has to be tough, because to be funny like that in music,
Yeah.
genius. Those guys are genius. But yeah, we'll go back to the Dash and Skull Club talk, because anyway, these podcasts, I wish I could make them a lot longer, because of course I like to just chat about everything.
The beauty of
Um,
podcasts.
But when I make it more than an hour, it creates a lot of headaches for the production, and I'm still learning how to do everything properly in that respect, software, and it's a real challenge. Sorry about that. So tell me about music. Who were the biggest influences growing up for both of you?
Oh gosh, if I go, because I've always been drawn to music. Even like at a very young age. I remember getting like one of these little they were air organs. You plugged them into a wall, had a fan that ran inside. You could play, the little organ, and some chord buttons over here. the earliest music I really remember getting into though was like a lot of novelty music. I love those kind of like
Bugs Bunny,
Bugs. Yeah, well, Bugs Bunny was another
Star
one.
Wars.
Bugs Bunny was watching Bugs Bunny cartoons. The music, like, that was used in those was a lot of like 1930s jazz and this kind of stuff like that. But it was just odd. Just for something that drew my attention. Just odd time meters and just stuff like that. And then Star Wars actually had a lot to do with it, just because I love that soundtrack. I was 5 years old when Star Wars came out, the first movie, and I got that soundtrack, and it was like that point it was just like I want to be a composer. I want to write stuff like this. This would be cool. At the same time, I was listening to like said comedy records or like these little novelty songs like Purple. What I'm talking about. I'm trying to think of novelty stuff. Weird Al Yankovic came much later, and that was another one I really got.
Like the Doctor.
All the Dr. Demento stuff. That was a radio show over here that it was just oddball songs. Just I think I'm turning into an onion ring, or just those kind of these just weird songs about just weird stuff. And then, of course, then came of age in the '80s. So then that I had everything from like new wave to metal influenced me. It was like Michael Jackson, Devo, REM, Metallica, just a wide range of stuff. I just loved. I started playing guitar at 13. I actually had started playing clarinet before that, about 5th grade. So but you can only do so much of the clarinet in a rock band. It's like, but and I hated marching. I could not get into marching for some reason. I just could not coordinate playing the instrument, memorizing a song, and then trying to stay in a straight line, left, right, left, right. So
that sounds terrible.
Yeah, so getting out of band because of that. But at that same time, I started playing guitar, and at that point, it was like Eddie Van Halen was the king. So it was like that kind of worked toward that way. Yngwie Malmsteen, all that kind of stuff. But I could never get into a band that I could really play the kind of songs I wanted to play. It was all. And I have against these kind of things because they were big then, like Poison, Cinderella. You had to play covers. You couldn't do any original stuff. And it was like that for years. Being
I don't know
younger.
if it's ever changed, really.
Yeah, it's still kind of like that around here for playing bars. But I do think I learned a wide range of music.
You're still playing the same era of music.
Yeah, yeah. But
you guys are in Kentucky, right?
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
I don't know a lot, but I had to check on the map where it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was around where I had guessed in my mind, but I don't know anything about
almost
Kentucky.
dead center.
Yeah,
almost.
Yeah.
A little bit east coast, but
What do you do when you want to go to the beach? It's a long trip.
I just don't go to the beach.
yeah.
It's like I'm one of those types myself. I can just lock myself in the room and with instruments.
I never wanted to go to the beach either until I moved to Barcelona, and it became obligatory because there's a beach in the city, and I didn't even take my shirt off like before 30 years old, like in public. I never took my shirt off, but then I moved to this hot country at the beach. I'm like, fuck, gonna have to take the shirt off,
I think the last time I took my shirt off was when I was 13 years old. That was the last time I got. We used to go like every summer. Would go to Florida, and I got so burnt that year. It was like I just bliss. Pretty pale.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and it just.
Americans with a lot of Irish in us, so
I'm from Scotland, so
yeah.
I burn quick.
We can all have this in common. We're just not taking our shirts off because we burn so damn easy. I grew up on a farm, so and I still have that problem. So
luckily I travel around a lot. I've seen a lot of the beach. I've been to I used to live in LA, so I went to the beach there a little bit. I've been down in Mexico. We used to go down there all the time because it's not that far from LA, really. Florida, East Coast, New Jersey, that area, and
but now you're back. You grew up in Kentucky,
yes,
and now you're back.
Yeah.
LA seems crazy place.
Yeah, I was there in about the mid '90s, and it was okay then, but now I feel like it's just gone. I don't know. It just seems like a different place from what I've seen.
Yeah. See, I always dreamed of going to California, and that dream has slowly become less appealing.
Yeah.
Same here. I've never been. I'd kind of, I was like, it's LA,
Yeah.
that's.
But not really LA. LA looks like going to some tourist hotspot. But
Yeah.
California itself looks like pretty beautiful on the coast and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
legal weed, the legal
Yeah.
weed, that I was always like, I want to go to California, but
I really
it
like
never happened.
my favorite part in California is more like up north, where it's the redwood forest, those huge, just gigantic trees. You know, you can stand in the forest and look up, and you can't see the tops of the trees.
the Emerald Triangle.
Yeah, it was a good, it was a great weed spot.
You have so many places in the US. I really would love. I don't even drive, so my dreams are kind of stupid. But I would love to drive around the US, and I don't even know how to drive.
Yeah.
And really, that is unusual, even for you. It's not so unusual. I know in America, everyone drives. In Europe, it's some people don't drive, let's say.
Yeah.
But it's still more common than not. But I never wanted to drive. Then I still have this dream of driving the Route 66 across the US, going to all these amazing different places. You guys should, but you don't have trains. That's the problem. I like a good train.
Yeah, like the few passenger trains. It's like from Chicago to California. You know, that's it. There's not much. Yeah,
America is missing that.
I went to Amsterdam and Munich for a while back when I was younger, and and it was so easy to get, find, I don't know. It's like I had no, I've never been to this country, but somehow I was able to, easily get anywhere I needed to go, and it wasn't an issue.
Yeah, man, I did the same. I went all over Europe like that when I was really young, and like 10 different countries.
Yeah.
But just with 1 or 2 train tickets,
Yeah.
like they could take you through the zones. That was amazing. And it's still like that. You can go anywhere in Europe just really easily on a train, but now it's more expensive to take a train than a plane.
Really?
Which is just so annoying because like
it is.
It takes so much longer. I personally enjoy it, but because I hate planes, but should be cheaper.
I always wanted to go to Europe and take, just get on a train and just go around to the different countries.
Man, I'll never regret doing that. Even, it's one of those things like at the time, some of it isn't that much fun.
Yeah.
But then of course, looking back, that was a good time,
Yeah.
Even I did it like 3 times in 5 years. I was lucky enough to do more or less the same thing, just go around Europe and visit countries. And the second and third times weren't that good compared to the first time. Yeah. With hindsight, but I'll never regret like visiting all those places and seeing, because you've always got stories, and when you meet people that are from those places, I've been there. And those are the best things. So if you can, and I say that now, I say it to myself because I haven't moved in 10 years. I've been in Barcelona for 10 years. I went to Amsterdam in Scotland, and that's it. Yeah. Traveling is the best thing you can do while you're still young enough to do it. I don't know, it gives you a different feeling in life, always. Yeah, it's not even like I'm not going to be like, it broadens the mind. There's a lot of people who like hipsters who like to speak like travel, it's just fucking, it's a good time, and you never regret spending your money on just doing nothing and going around cities, meeting people and just having a good time.
Yeah, I did that a lot when I was young. I mean, I remember like when I went to LA, I got on a Greyhound bus in Nashville, Tennessee, and it was like a 3-day trip in this bus to get to LA. One of those days was Texas alone. Texas is just like every
massive.
15 it's massive. You're driving right across the middle of it, and it's like, I swear every 20 miles there's like, you'll come to a town. That town might not be anything more than like a tool shed that says City Hall and a gas station. It's the trailers, but that Greyhound will stop there, and and somebody's gonna get off. But that was kind of fun because it started out, it was February, it was snowing in Nashville. As you're driving across the country, it's like you start seeing grass, and then you go out into the desert, and then you come up over these mountains, and then you look down and there's LA all lit up. I came into LA at night. And it just, I don't know,
we have such variety in the US, and such vastness.
Yeah.
To travel for such a distance, then I know there's something relaxing about that as well, though. I don't know, boring, but also like to travel, to go on a bus, like so far. really like I'm from Scotland, so it's like 2 hours to go anywhere, you know. It's like
Yeah.
you know, if you want to go south, it's like really that's a long trip. But definitely it's a dream I still hold, even if it's I don't know who's going to take me. I need someone to drive.
Yeah.
Man, driving's fun until you get in like a bunch of traffic, and then it's not fun at all.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I like because I live in the country, so I like driving in the country. It's pretty fun. But and some like taking long trips can be fun. It's just when you get in traffic, that's when I
and
start.
it's just when you get older as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's more annoying. When you're young, you're like, I
Yeah.
don't care. But when you're
Yeah.
old,
I have a lot less patience for other drivers.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
like,
turning
less
into a
patience.
crotchety old man.
it's like yeah,
Yeah.
slow down. You're going too fast.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Or speed
Wow.
up. You're going too slow.
Yeah.
I'm always shouting at cars as a
Yeah.
pedestrian walking. Fucking slow down. Fucking dick. And in Barcelona, they don't care, you know. Like,
Oh
but
yeah.
the worst ever is Italy.
Oh wow.
Rome is the
Yeah.
craziest place
Yeah.
ever. You can die in Rome trying to cross the road.
Yeah.
That's hard. Like 7 lanes of crazy Italian drivers going in
Yeah. Just,
roundabouts, and they don't give a fuck. So let's go back to the music. It's difficult to stick on the music.
yeah.
Yeah, Deanna's
Uh,
going to be furious when she sees this program.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, Deanna.
Yeah.
I love
You have
you.
to make it more about music.
Yeah, more about
Um,
music.
let's tell me about you're playing at Punk in the Corn. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
What's how's that going to go? You're going to how far? That's not so far from Kentucky, Iowa, no?
Actually, I think it's 8 hours.
Not far in American terms.
No, not in American terms. Like you could definitely like going to LA from here is like that's what, probably 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh so I mean it's not I've done 8 hour trips before. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
I mean it's a longish, fairly longish trip.
Where are you going to stay when you go there?
You know, we're terrible about planning ahead and I still haven't got that part figured out.
Probably just like a 3-star hotel. Stuff like that.
I was looking at Airbnb.
Man, I like we talked about it. That would be awesome. I don't know.
We'll have to look into it because it might.
We
Yeah.
should
I
would be
know
good
Deidre
to
Patrick was in the chat. Like she's
It
getting
might even
there.
be cheaper.
It
Yeah.
might be.
would
If
be a
it
good
is.
idea to get like 8 people to get a big
Isn't that something
Airbnb.
we talked? Like, it'd be cool if a bunch of us wanted to go in on one because that would be awesome.
That would be
I mean,
better
it's
than
really.
just, and you'd have more fun because we could party together and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
That's the thing I was gonna say is like it feels like once we all get in the same place at the same time, it's like there's gonna be so much mingling and talking and because it's gonna be cool. Like you talk to these people across oceans that are even states and whatever, but you actually get to see them and meet them and
It's going to be weird. It's going to be
Yeah.
funny because it'll be like, wow, did you speak to such and such? They're really weird. No,
which is
Right.
probably gonna be the reaction
Yeah.
to
God,
us.
they were a lot shorter than I thought they'd be.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that guy smelled really bad. You
Yeah.
know?
Somebody needs to tell him to
You just
change.
never know online who is innocent, who's anyone, in fact. But
Yeah.
I'm only joking. I really would love to meet everyone. It's like this planning thing and the money thing. I'm trying to get it figured out to go to Punk in the Corn because
Yeah, it's
to
one of those
not
things.
meet everyone would be sad.
I'm one of those people that's just like I know the goal and I know the steps to get there, but I don't try to look too far ahead because that gets overwhelming. Because there's the
Mm,
money aspects and the we're still trying to get because we all have regular jobs and Jake in particular is running a business, a coffee shop, so like
mm.
it's difficult to juggle all of our times and we're still trying to get like we at least want to be able to play a few shows before we go to do that because
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to go in code. Yeah. We haven't.
we
played
don't
in-
want to go in cold and it's been like I want to say 9 years,
Yeah. Since we actually played.
Well,
Played in front of people.
which is
we're definitely going to want to do a couple of warm
Yeah.
ups.
yeah,
Couple of warm ups. Yeah.
I'm pretty confident in this. Even on our bad nights, we still got good reactions, even though I would be like, that was terrible. But I feel like as a band, we're a tight band. We deliver well live. Like I feel confident in our abilities to be able to do a good show.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of I would feel better about it, like just
You'd be
doing it.
less nervous
Yeah.
Yeah.
for one
Because
thing.
I don't get too bad on nerves, but I get like I'm one of those hyper focused people. So I will like the day before, I'm not going to be able to think about anything
Yeah.
but that whatever 30 minutes or whatever that we're on stage, and I'm going to be obsessing over every little detail from that point to the time we get off.
Yeah.
And
How
once we're
many
done playing, I'll be able to relax.
Yeah.
how many people do you think are going to be at this?
I don't know. You know, it's like I know what we're shooting for, and I always try to keep that you know, you never know. Like we could get 20, 30,000.
Would be amazing.
You, it's a weird time in the music industry too, because just the way live shows have been, like even the big name acts aren't making much money and canceling
Yeah.
tours. So it's like there's almost this vacuum right now. So I mean, I think the possibilities are huge, especially if you look at the like. It blows my mind. Tim is one of the hardest working, best
Yeah.
people I would
The guy
consider
runs on
a friend.
batteries.
Yeah.
He's a great
yeah.
dude, and his enthusiasm is off the charts. And I wouldn't put anything past Tim's abilities to pull off a 20,000
Yeah.
person crowd.
Well, I saw that from the start that his motivation and like self-belief was really high, which really needs to be to pull off such a thing. And a lot of skepticism probably from some people around that he probably got a lot of. I heard some people give him some shit, but I think that only strengthened what he was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I definitely think
it's
Tim's
amazing I mean, if he can pull this off, I still, you still have to wait and see, or I still
Yeah.
like hope everything goes for him. One thing that worried me was the October. What if it rains a lot? Is it going to be a problem if it rains a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not totally familiar with, Iowa, how it's, what its scenes are like.
Just came to my mind. It's like, it'd be better if it was in summer, but if it was in summer, I probably couldn't go. But
Yeah, so
It would, oh God.
plus it gets like here during the summer, it's just so
Muggy.
swell.
But in Scotland, we have festivals in July and it always rains anyway, so it does.
Yeah.
I don't think it really affects too much. It's just people get muddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
Dunk in
mean,
the mud.
Yeah. Hey, whatever. Hey.
and ultimately too, I think it's the same like with anything, like whether it's 3 people, 300 people, 3,000 people, it's still, I don't know, you go at it the same. I definitely would,
Yeah, the more the better,
the more the
obviously,
better.
but it's.
But just the idea of doing it, it's almost bigger than the amount of the people in the crowd. Is just the idea of doing it, to me, is just,
Yeah.
it's like the coolest thing ever.
Yes. Pretty exceptional dream to have. Like I kept saying it to Tim, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Referencing Field of Dreams.
Yep.
Because it seems so crazy. But he believed in it, and of course it was true. Because really, like, how are you going to do that? Like, I couldn't imagine to try and organize a party. No, a fucking festival for 30,000 people, and with the work that he does and the podcast that he does.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't see
Where
how
does he get
sleeps.
the time?
Yeah,
I don't think he sleeps. Yeah, and I have to sleep 8 hours. I think that's my excuse for not being as successful as other people.
Yeah.
I need to sleep for 8 hours. So
Yeah.
those other hours.
My problem is trying to get that 8 hours all in one setting. I have a habit of like, sleeping about 5 hours and then going out and doing something. Then I'll come home and like, I'm going to watch this video. And then there goes 2 hours, or something like that, right? It's like,
Wake up.
I think you can do that if you sleep for 4 hours. You can wake up and feel like you slept for 8 hours.
Yeah.
But if you slept for 6 hours or 7 hours, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's.
So I could get up after 4 hours and do some life and then go back to bed for 4 hours.
That's pretty much what. Yeah.
It's a weird schedule we've been on lately, where it's like.
Well, they changed our lives with COVID and the lockdown. That's what they did.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, because they got people working at home. They got people living alone, they killing relationships with their propaganda and so forth.
Yeah.
And so you've got a lot of fucking fucked up guys living alone.
Yeah.
I'm joking. But yeah. Going to bed late at night, just staying up all night, writing. No, I don't know. It's like yeah,
That's one of the
we're all living in a weird society now where there's like it's not 9 to 5 anymore. It's
Yeah.
not Monday to Friday anymore. It's everything. Everyone's doing their own life in
Yeah.
a weird way.
I think this is one of the interesting benefits to come out of COVID is the amount of people that were like either musicians and in that time decided to get back to it, or people just decided to try it for the first time.
Yeah,
Like it's there's like just been a lot. I think Brian Muellen's one of them that I think he said that
yeah, yeah.
during that times when he started doing music, and I like when
That's
I
true.
heard his music, I was like, really? I wouldn't have thought you just started doing this. So I mean, I
You
think
sound
that's
so
pretty.
polished. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean,
yeah,
I think I told him
like a profession.
growing up
Oh,
around here and hearing country music, honestly, I wasn't really that into. I like the older stuff like Outlaw, but as far as the like '90s on, I wasn't as into. But I hear it all the time, and I told him I was like, I'm not as into that music, but when I hear your music, I'm like,
it's yeah, it's
why isn't that on the
yeah,
radio?
just yeah,
Yeah,
quality.
Like it's really really good. And again, I would have never thought that he just started doing it. Like
I think
that's
his wife is also a musician,
yes.
so she probably gave him some help with the production. I don't know. I'm speculating,
I
but
mean, I
definitely
think I think
he
he
has
said
like
that
a pro straight away.
in
Yeah,
talking to him, I think he told me that when she left me with the whiskey, I think he
yeah,
said that he did in Nashville.
yeah,
But that's
yeah.
I mean, that's still it's amazing to me. I think it's a very cool thing and I mean it's a great song. It's well produced, it's well played.
Yeah, great. Yeah, the arrangement and everything.
Yeah, I'm the same as you guys. I put that in a lot of playlists, and I'm not a country music fan by any means, but
Yeah, and I mean
it's just a good song. It's just a good
yeah,
song.
and I think that was luckily he didn't take it wrong. He got what I meant by it. Like for it to capture my attention like that, it's like it was really good
Yeah,
because I'm not into that.
Mm.
So but that's I think also in being in the community too is like at times I've been a music snob in life, but I've seen there's something special about seeing people just put themselves out there and give it their all and like really put their passion into it and like I love that. I
yeah,
think that's so cool that that's one of the cool because I could find negative things about the world we live in today, but when I see what goes on in our community, that like it's inspiring, it gives hope. It's like it's cool to see that happening. And I've heard so much really cool music out of that.
Yeah, obviously, obviously I've heard a lot of music as well in the last year, and we've only been part of this for let's say a year, a little bit more than a year. And that was the first thing that really drew us in was all the amazing music that we discovered. And
yeah,
the thing for me is I always say it, I'm not a musician, so I feel like an outsider almost. Not anymore, but at the start I felt like an imposter, an outsider, like I'm not a musician. And so that's good in one respect because I can enjoy any kind of music. I'm not
yeah,
like a musician. A lot of musicians, I guess, do, like you say, maybe a little bit snobby about certain types of music or other musicians because that's your craft
yeah,
and that's what you do. But for me, just as like a fan of music, I could just enjoy all the different types of music around and put them in playlists. Um, and as you say, there are so many different types of musicians in our community, and you see the people behind the music, and that is so much more interesting than just
yeah,
Oh yeah,
mainstream music.
absolutely. I think that's one of the best benefits is just getting to know the people. Like obviously Whiskey Club brought us in, so he was
Yeah,
the
yeah,
first person.
he was the one that DC was the one that pulled us into the vortex.
DC would be the second person
yeah,
that we really and really have grown in like really good solid friendships with those two, and then it kind of branched out like Ernest, and then Ernest I think introduced me to Tim and then just Andy and Lizzie from KTO, Andy or oh Drew Node, that's another one I started talking to early on because
Mm.
that Spare Limb Drew Node album, wow,
yeah,
Feminoise. The Stolen from the Sky is another one of those bands that latched onto pretty early. Yeah, it's amazing, and I mean, luckily we're like Larry and I both have a pretty wide range of musical taste anyway, but it's really cool like sing all. I like the mingling, like
Yeah.
metal and pop and country, and it all just that's pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
that's something I kind of considered more of a European thing, and always like made fun of America because it was so like flavor of the month here. If it didn't fit the flavor of the month, it wouldn't get any attention. Whereas like I remember the Pixies were big in Europe and when I was in high school, and everybody and that went to my school were like, who's the Pixies? And it just annoyed me. I was like,
To the Ramones, you know.
the Ramones. Like the Ramones were legendary and people didn't know who they were over here. It was crazy. But yeah, that's what I like about the community is that it makes me think of like when I was younger, it's like, man, I wish America was like Europe when it came to musical tastes. And to see it and the community is like that, I think it's really cool.
Well, I
Because
think
genres are silly to me.
this is one of the things that our music, we don't have any genre that we can identify with because we're always trying to do different genres. Actually, say, okay, let's do this as a punk or rock or a ballad or like. And someone told us that we would never be successful if we didn't stick to a genre.
Yeah.
Maybe they're right. Maybe they, I don't know. Maybe they're right.
I mean,
But for us, it's like, well, I love classical music, rock music. Diana loves hard punk music. She loves Spanish music. So like we have maybe 7 or 8 genres that we both love. So we fuse them together. You're gonna get different genres. And I think that is the future. I don't know if it can be successful, but I don't see why a band has to be just one style of music.
Yeah.
Because but it was always like that. Like, this is what the fans want. You have to give them what they want. They like you because you do that, so you have to do that.
I think it was the interesting thing with Skull Club was like there was a point when Lars and I would do like other projects too, and we had a metal band, like a prog metal thing. And I love playing that kind of music. I could definitely geek out on that for a while. But it got to be a like when we put out songs like they wouldn't like one as much because it would be so different from the first one that was like really heavy, and they wanted more of that. And it was like, but that's it was like that's just not what we do.
Yeah.
We,
That's what,
it's
like Skull Club. I just feel like we can do
Your
whatever.
music is chaotic,
Yeah, it's like we get. It's like
and it makes you feel like I'm ready to party. This was the vibe I got from your music.
yeah, cool.
But it's like it's I get tongue tied when I try to speak about music. It's easier for me to think about it. But listen to your music today, just like a lot of variety there, and I can feel that you don't stick to one style or sound. You guys are you do your thing. I like
Yeah.
it.
It's just if it's fun, if we just want to, just you might hear a song from somebody else and go like, I want to do something like that, and it doesn't turn out
yeah,
anything
it
like
comes out
that.
completely different.
But it's, I don't know, that's part of the fun is just just like I said, when you discover new music. It's like here in the last few years, I've gotten more into like Japanese rock bands and Japanese pop artists, and it's like, and their stuff, so it's different, but it's familiar because they're using a lot of chord progressions that were like Western chord progressions that were used more in like the 70s and R&B and stuff like that. But then they're like mixing it with all this other stuff, and it's just it's like I'm always
And
finding something to add to Skull Club so it can just kind of like always be more
young
familiar.
people today really have their finger on the button with this because if they have the creativity and then they acquire the tech knowledge that for us is
Yeah.
like such a laborious process to try and learn it when you're plus 40. But
Yeah.
when you're 10, 12,
Yeah.
you
Grow
see
up with
these
it.
kids now that are like 20 years old and they are super talented in creating music that you never imagined. The
Yeah.
world's definitely changing with technology. That's what I said before. It's like you have to try and be a little bit more interesting than just a couple of chords.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I say this, I can't play music. I always say this to Deanna, I am the Bernie to her Elton. I write the lyrics, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's our process is like for me to write the lyrics, and in my head it should sound like that, but then she takes it and she makes it what she wants. And that for me is weird, but I never disagree with her final outcome. It's like she's the musician. Good luck, well done. You do good. She's really good. I'm just happy to
She's
see
really
someone.
good. I was like complimenting her phrasing. She's got such good phrasing. Because we were listening to Daydream today,
Yeah.
and that's just
Daydream, Daydream It. I wrote that song and I said, this song sucks. It's rubbish. Really genuinely, I said this is a rubbish pop song and I don't like it. And then one girl came and sang it, like a little part of it, and she sang it in a way, and Deanna said, oh, it's quite good. And then Deanna did it, and I was like, oh, it sounds pretty good. And it is literally our most successful song. Has
it's a great pop song.
8,000
That's the kind of
replays.
pop I like. That's good stuff there.
It's
Uh,
what's the word? A little bit inspiring. Like everyone can relate to that message. Everyone who makes music, I think, can relate to that music,
Yeah.
message in that song.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it's funny that story too is kind of like One Bullet was like that. Like, because we were talking about how before we got back with Skull Club, how we were just writing, recording all these songs, and like Larry had One Bullet, and I think it was even called One Bullet, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, it was one of those. I was like, oh, that's really good, but it wasn't like there'll be those songs that you're like, oh man, this is gonna be something, and then there's those ones that you're like, I just had to get that out. It was really good, but this one, and then Jeff Tuna did the vocal thing for One Bullet, and it was like, oh,
He heard something in it, you know.
yeah. And when he got done with it, it was like, oh, that's a really good song. So it's funny how somebody else's take on it can completely change your perspective of it. Because
Yeah,
you might not think it's much of anything, but when somebody else hears something in it and what they bring out of it, then suddenly you have a whole new look of it. It's the great part of the journey, I think, at times.
It's definitely it's a fun thing to do. It's to write lyrics.
John did that with Knowing You Did Everything because it was like it was one of those things that we wanted to have like a little like love letter to the 70s AM radio that we grew up with. And when we threw it to John and I didn't tell him anything about what what I wanted to hear there, just let him do his thing, and he actually did what I heard in my head, which is to me a unique thing when you're crossing waters and you haven't actually physically met the person, but yet somehow that communication ends up being there without, because that's the
Very
interesting
difficult.
thing about playing in a band and then playing in a band with basically the same people for a long time is you develop this chemistry to where you don't have to speak anymore. We just kind of know what the other one's going to do. And to have that kind of thing with somebody you've never even, physically met and live in a totally different country is pretty special.
Must be very rare, actually. Yeah, I would say because trying to do collabs and things like that, it's quite challenging. I think because you don't know. I don't really know what your role is specifically. Okay, what do you want me to do? What should I do? And then there's like the ego. Okay, I've done this. Oh, I want to change that. It's difficult to work in that way. I would find it very difficult. It's for me, even when Deanna says, "Oh, I don't like this lyric," I'm like, "What? No,
Well, I mean,
no, that's good. You don't change that."
Yeah.
That's one of the first things and I think with age it's come easier is to not take the things you do so preciously. I like definitely when I was younger, I was a lot more precious about it. But I think so far the collab thing's gone pretty well. We've got some others in the works.
Yeah.
But that could be because I turn into a little kid and
Yeah.
I'm just like, "Ooh, this is cool." And I just throw it out there, not even really thinking about any of those things you brought up until later. Then I'll be like, well, I hope nobody took that the wrong way, or I hope, like none of this comes off this way, or it doesn't end up being a thing. But no, I mean, so far so good. It's been really a really fun experience.
I think you have to open your mind to be, as an artist, to be able to share art in that respect. I would imagine, really, as a writer, because it's been an entirely solo process, my life, to create work alone. And only working with Deanna, I don't really work with her on the lyrics. I give her the lyrics. She likes them more or less. Might change one or two words, but more or less that's it. So yeah, I can't imagine trying to sit down with someone really and make something together. It's a lot of ego. I have the ego as well, I'm not like afraid to say that. Like I would hate to try and compromise my words with someone. That's very important, but
I mean, I think
you can do it.
Jeff can be that way, but I don't, other than Yellow, Jeff has done all the lyrics. And I mean, I think that's another thing with Skull Club that's always like stood out is that there's something about his lyric writing. And it's just that's one of he's got a lot of strong points, but that's definitely a huge strong point is just his lyric writing is really good stuff and it makes it easy. But and I think for that reason nobody really challenges that. As far as working with people, I think working with the current lineup is really easy. And
Yeah.
even the bass player we had before Scott came in, he played on Invisible or Unsee the Invisible, really easy. Now, but we've had experiences in life where it was not really
No.
easy.
I was going to ask you, did you ever have a very bad experience with
Yeah,
a band member?
our bass player that was on Dirt Flood, he was in and out of the band a lot. Quit during days of shows, and it was just a lot of headaches. Just in it's one of those situations where you have somebody that wants to be because they feel like somebody has to have an opposing opinion, like so they purposely do it. And all it really,
Devil's
when you
advocate.
sum it all up, it just made it to where it was hard for the band to actually achieve any of its goals.
Yeah.
And then we quit playing for like a few years just because we all like, especially Larry and I, just were all the time for
Burnt,
like
yeah.
almost a decade straight. Just and finally we were just like we had to stop for a while. It was a good thing in the end, but at the time it was like,
Yeah.
Doing what you love.
yeah. I mean, I think that was the good thing about the break is like you come back around to like, oh, it was all about doing it because
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, you see exactly why you did it in the first place.
Have you got more plans to write new albums? I saw
Oh,
you
yeah.
got 2 on Spotify.
Yeah, knowing you did everything's probably going to end up being one on the next thing, but it's kind of up in the air whether we do an EP or an album. It's kind of
What do
played
you
by
think about that? Do you think it's better to release singles now? Is there like we never put out an album, like we just released
I
song
feel like
after
that's
song
probably
after song.
business model right now,
Yeah.
for sure.
That's what we're told is the best business model is like to
Yeah, I would
release
say I'd
songs.
say that probably is true. But we just we're
But we
kind of
are-
old school. We do
Yeah.
enjoy doing the album and sequencing the songs and like and for those people that enjoy listening to albums, we try to think about like putting the flow together and how it goes. That's kind of part of the fun too. And
I agree.
the
I
album
think-
art.
I think to the people that are caught up in the singles thing is like it's sad because there's an experience to listening to an album.
Yeah.
It's something I think is lost today is like because I remember when I was younger, buying an album was a big deal, whether it
Well,
was
that
a
was the
cassette tape
difference.
or a vinyl
Yeah.
record or a CD.
It's just so much easier to access everything. Now.
Everything changed, so that
Yeah.
became playlists. It was never about putting an album on. I mean, it's since Spotify and even Napster that changed that, like playing different songs. It was always at parties, and I was of a generation like put on an album, let's listen to
Yeah.
this album.
Yeah.
But it's impossible, in company now. So that definitely is a shift that people just want to hear a good song.
Yeah.
But
And I think it'll go back to it eventually because I mean it was
probably
like this,
will.
in the 50s it was like this. It was just a single driven industry.
Yeah.
You didn't get as many albums. It was like
Yeah.
they put out 45s. It was like, Elvis had his song out and Paul Anka would have his song out
Yeah.
and so forth and so on. But eventually, and albums took over for a long time. So I don't know. It's another thing.
It's difficult to
industry
release a good album
is.
also because a lot of albums were like half of them filler songs. So then what's the point?
Yeah.
You really need a track 1 to maybe just even 8 tracks, but that really tells a story or a theme is much more interesting than just one song. There was definitely a theme to all of the songs that I released, even if it's not on an album. There was a theme, an overriding theme, more or less, even if the genres were different. But I think it's much more interesting if you can make some piece of work rather than just come up with a new song and a new song and a new song.
Yeah.
But you guys are pros. I don't like. I just always feel very humbled to speak to like these real musicians, guys that have been are actually proper, but rock stars. Maybe not rock stars, but you're rock guys. You've got the
Yeah,
look,
there we
you've
go.
got the music, you've got the history. You play shows. Like I'm nobody, just guy in a laptop writing. So I always feel like that, humbled by that.
You're Ryan from R&D to me though. I've like I don't know if
We're getting there. We're getting a little bit of I wouldn't say fame, but indie community fame. Maybe like we're a little bit. People know us. The podcast helped. Some
yeah,
playlists,
I
and
missed it while it's going. I think I watched that Christmas episode.
I always. It's hard to gauge, especially if you're self-conscious as well. I could never have done this 10 years ago. I couldn't even, like listen to my own voice or anything like that.
I hate the sound of my own voice.
So I still can't say if the podcast was like good enough that people were like, oh, that was good. I'd like to see more. So who knows? But I enjoy doing it, and fuck it. Let's see.
Yeah, there you go.
It's good to like look at things in a critical way and figure out how you can make things better and refine it. But
Definitely.
also there's also a thing to like doing it and not thinking too much about it and moving on. You know, like because
It's a line.
that's a being self-conscious is like it's difficult to like weigh that and not get in that headspace. So it's like you want to make it better, so you have to concentrate it on and think about those things, but you also don't want to spend too much time thinking on those things because then it starts to go down like rabbit holes and stuff, and that's the part you have to avoid. And I think that age helps again. Like
the older you get, the less you care.
Yeah, and you get more confident in what you're doing. It's
well, I think that's something I want to try and project. Really, it's not even projecting it because I do feel confident in my work and the things that I do, generally speaking. But I don't like to be egotistical. So that's a thing. It's like, but if you're trying to sell something or make people, you have to be a little bit confident. You can't be like, oh, we're okay. Maybe you'll like it. No, you have to we fucking stand for this. This is what we believe in.
Yeah,
should like it.
That's taken many years, I think, to actually get better at is to because I don't like ego either. So it's like, but I it's like I have to get confident in it because I think for the longest time I wasn't very confident in my abilities, and it took a long time to get there. But again, I think it's an age thing, an experience thing. After
it's also where you come from as well. I grew up in a place where everyone tells you you cannot do something or you are not worth doing something. Like a lot of that growing up from friends.
Oh yeah.
So you end up in a, not doing anything, and then you're like, wait a minute, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can do something good.
Being a musician's hard in that way because it's like you always got the well, you need to grow up and get a real job. I don't know how many times I've heard that in life.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's about time you grow up and get a real job?
Yeah, it's like when I first started playing guitar, it was like it was more of like almost like an athletic thing. It was like, well, how fast can you play? How fast, it's like, and I tried so long to get that, but then it was like I would get bored with it because my whole intention of playing any instrument was always like I want to write songs. I want to create a piece. I don't want to just
show off.
Sit my impress people in my bedroom. With the guitar, nothing else. But
or YouTube these days.
Yeah,
you can make
I do like because I watch a lot of YouTube short. See these people that are just like incredible. There's no this kid's like 12 years old and I will never be able to touch his technique. But that's not what I'm going for. It's impressive and that's cool. And I hope that's he gets enjoyment from it. But it's like
to me, start comparing yourself to others. That's when you're never going to do anything.
Yeah, my competition is with my. I'm always trying to
improve
yourself. Myself. It's like, what more can I learn to get? It's like I hear this idea. That's usually how I'll sit down now and practice or learn techniques. It's like I'll hear something in my head that I may not be able to play yet, or I haven't figured out how to put that together, and then I'll work. Actually put the practice in and stuff. It's not just I need to play faster or
It's got to be for a purpose.
Yeah, it's a musical purpose. I gotta have a goal in mind. Now when I like work on technique and stuff.
It was that was another thing. It was a lot easier when I was younger. When I first got into like trying to get better at technique, it was like, and now at this age, I'm just kind of like, man, there's like Larry said, there's got to be a purpose behind it musically in order to get me motivated enough to actually do it.
Play something, something repetitive for a while. There has to be a musical purpose for it. Or, for me, it's like
there has to be something driving you from within to even to make a song. Even Deanna was pushing me for lyrics for a long time, and I'm like, feeling it. But then one day you're like, okay, I've got one. And it's
Yeah.
like that. It's creativity comes from a place we cannot really understand. So
Yeah,
if you keep doing it though and just keep trying, lyrics is different for me. I'm like, oof, but actually just writing every day for the work that I do. I'm always writing. So if you keep doing your craft,
yeah,
it becomes much easier when you need it for these projects. But
Like a muscle.
look, it's already 80 minutes, and Deanna's going to kill me. She's going to be like, "Why are you going over an hour?"
I might have to do some editing.
The production, it's the production really, because it gets too big to file, and then I don't know, we have problems.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I didn't even get to like a lot of what I had written down to ask you guys, but I feel that we got to know you a bit better.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun talk.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoy these kind of things. I can ramble on for a long time on things.
I want to make some like bonus content as well, like to go outside of the podcast. So I maybe will edit something, or maybe I can ask you another question before we go, and I'll cut it. Really, that I should plan these things better. People like the raw approach that I take.
Yeah, like more casual conversation.
That's what I like about podcasts. Just to
I
talk.
don't know what my dog is doing. She's sneezing. What are you doing, Adrian?
Mine's trying to jump up in my lap.
She's demanding attention. This is what she wants. She's like, oh, it's already an hour and a half.
Yeah.
My puppy doesn't speak to me.
Same thing.
So apart from Punk in the Corn, you said you've not got any other shows lined up, but you're gonna get something lined up.
Yeah, I think we're gonna probably do a test show at our drummer's coffee shop, because he has like bands play there too. So
Yeah,
I
so we
want
got
to
a
see.
guaranteed
I
gig at least.
I want to see you guys. I really hope that we can, me and D can make it out there. I don't know if
that
we
would
can.
be awesome.
It's just to meet everyone. It's just such an
Yeah.
opportunity to meet so many people that we feel like we know them already. So it's like, how can we miss such an event?
I think that as much as like,
Yeah.
obviously playing in front of a big crowd's a huge thing and exciting, and really looking forward to that. But I can't help it. Every time I think about it, it's like my mind goes to just meeting everybody first. That's the first cool thing. Then it's playing.
Yeah, the music for me, obviously we're not playing, but just obviously it'd be amazing to see everyone play, but just to meet everyone, really, it feels like a family and such a fun time.
Yeah. Yeah, I look forward to that.
It's gonna be amazing.
It's like one great big party.
So I'm gonna wrap it up. This dog is annoying, so annoying. Guys, it's been such a pleasure to speak to you for the return episode. So I'll finish the show and then I'll keep. Don't go anywhere. Just let me wrap it up. I'm going to release some extra content as well, I hope. So if you just hang on, I'll get that from you. It's been really cool. You guys are totally my kind of guys. Chilled out.
Completely mutual.
Yeah.
I hope people are like, well, we just heard Ryan speaking shit about R&D again, but you know, it's been a long time since I've had the podcast. Good to be back. All right, so I will speak to you again soon.
Anytime. It was fun.
Take it easy.